Hello, and welcome to the Shawn and Renee Show. I am one of your hosts, T. Renee.
And I am Nisha LaShawn. And we are so excited to get to the nitty-gritty of this topic today. This right here, Ryan Coogler. You did your thing, bro.
You did.
You did your thing.
Indeed.
We got to give you your flowers today. We got to break this thing down.
Yes.
We got to talk about the cultural impact.
Yes.
We got to talk about MichaelBJordan, smoking stack. Which one you want?
I'm going to go with smoke.
Really?
I want some smoke.
I want smoke, girl, too. Give me the smoke. Give me the smoke. Stack, you play too much. I ain't got time for that. I need something serious. Need somebody real serious about me, okay?
Yes. Some smoke.
Pistol whip somebody on my behalf, okay?
Shoot somebody in the butt because you playing too much outside. And the little girl told you.
Listen.
Who this truck belonged to.
We just kidding. We're not toxic. No. But we for real at the same time. So anyway.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about the movie Sinners because it was really a good movie. A lot of people I've been hearing since it came out had their reservations about the movie, but I can honestly say that I was pleasantly surprised by the storyline.
Let's pick up on that first because you and I both identify as Christians and not just saying it out loud, like we actually live our life that way.
Correct.
So there's a lot of conversation around whether or not people who are believers of Christ, children of God, if we should partake in this sort of entertainment.
Correct.
And I would like to know your thoughts on that. What do you think about the person that says it is tampering with your spirit?
I will have to say for myself, I actually did say a prayer. Just talk to God and say, Lord, just don't let this movie bother me after I see it, because I knew it had some horror parts to it, but I didn't let it like bother me. So I just said a prayer and said, Lord, I'm going to see this movie. I'm not sure what I'm in for. I know it has a little horror to it, but don't let it bother me after I finish viewing it. Because I don't watch horror movies or anything. I don't pay people to scare me. I'll say that. But what I found before and after I went to see it, people were like, oh, why would you go see a movie called Sinners? If you a child of Christ, you don't need to go see nothing that's talking about sin. And I'm just like, that's hypocritical. Because we are on a daily walk with Christ every day. We fall short daily. So putting your stake or your flag in a movie, to me was just a little bit hypocritical.
A lot of the responses I was hearing about whether or not you should see it or not see it, to me it came off like very exaggerated. It sounded like the people who were saying don't go see it was the people who had no idea what the movie was about.
Correct.
And now at this point of seeing the movie, all of the conversations around hoodoo and voodoo and rituals and all that stuff was very minimal to the storyline to me.
Right.
From what I was viewing, it had its moments.
Right.
And she was well aware and empowered through that for her in her life. At that time, it was what benefited her. And there's still a lot of people who live their life that way. I don't want to pretend like here in 2025 it's still not people who practice that. But as far as the overall movie and the conversation, to me, the biggest villain in that movie was racism.
Yes.
Like hoodoo and voodoo, are you kidding me? Like the overall villain in that movie, and the thing that I would say as a Black woman at this point in time, the racism is what I had to pray against more than anything else.
Correct.
Help me not go back to work after seeing this movie and want to body slam somebody from looking at me crazy at the water cooler. So I always try to go into these conversations about faith carefully, because I am well aware the things that is impactful to one person may not impact the next person. Right. This person can have a cocktail with no issue. This person
falling down.
They're gonna be falling down.
Sloppy with it.
Sloppy. It's just your vice. You can't do it.
Correct.
And for some people, horror films is one of their things. They just can't do it because they don't know how to come up out of it.
Right.
Once they watch it. It's not a one size fit all.
Nope.
Which is why we shouldn't be so quick to just judge and just, oh my God, just.
It was like harsh judgment.
Yes.
Just based off the title. And I couldn't understand it. I was just like, I get it. The word sinners has prevalence in the community, the church community. We don't want to engage in things that will make us sin. However, if your daily walk every day, you gonna fall short. So, like I said, I didn't understand people hanging their flag just on the title alone.
And then this is another thing that's concerning to me. We know that we are to be in the world, but not of it. It's right. Certain things we are not to partake in. There's certain boundaries we cannot cross. But God never told us not to be aware, to not have a sense of awareness of the things that's happening and going on and be in tune to what is happening in the culture. I find it very difficult to minister to people and you have no idea what they're going through currently.
Exactly.
You have outdated information. So how do you go into the conversation, with the ability to resonate in current time to the current generation if you don't know their struggles?
And just look at Jesus. Look who he hung with. Okay. Look at the disciples. Like, let's be real.
They were thugged out.
From the beginning to the end.
They were thugged out.
And God went where the sinners were. Those were the people that he was seeking the most. So that's why I didn't understand people staking their flag on that.
I didn't understand it either. I didn't understand it either. We just jump too quick sometimes without really pausing to think about the beginning, middle, or the end.
Correct.
And at the end of the day, this was an impactful film. I'm a lover of the arts. We love music, entertainment, pop culture, all of that. We love the arts. And it's not something that is always welcomed in the church.
True.
The arts. There's always a level of skepticism surrounding it because it's been bastardized horribly. They have valid points.
A huge.
They have valid points.
Yes.
I don't want to seem like I'm expressing that they don't have valid points.
No, they do have valid points.
Because it's been bastardized.
But think about it. In the opening scene, and I'm one of those people, I like the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Work me through. You start me at the end of the movie.
They laid the groundwork at the beginning.
Yep, and work me all the way to the end. At the beginning, Sammy came in the church. I was just like, this baby then walked in the church.
Limping,
bleeding, stressed out.
Face scratched up.
With a broken guitar.
Actually, not scratched up. He was mauled in the face.
He was mauled in the face.
Yeah, it gave me Revenant vibes.
Yes.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Like, this baby done he done been through some trauma. And it all started with him just going to hang out with his cousins, his scheming cousins, who was back in town from Chicago.
I love some scheming cousins. Shout out to my scheming cousins. Now let's go back to the beginning of the movie where it laid the ground, where you saw the sketch artwork, and the narrator was explaining that how the gift of music can bring on healing. Like some people, not to get necessarily the gift of music, but certain people who have certain talents within the gift of music can be healers, but it also can attract evil.
Correct.
I was taken aback when I heard that piece because I'm like, you right. Anytime something good is in place, the presence of evil is always lurking when there is good.
Absolutely.
And the conversation around, because people were trying to say, okay, hoodoo and voodoo is what saved them.
No.
In that movie. I did not see that.
I didn't see that.
I said, where y'all pulling this out of? Because in the beginning of the movie, she literally says music can bring healing, but it also attracts evil.
Yeah. Because you have to look at it. His father told him, don't go with your scheming cousin.
He told him at the beginning.
He told him.
That, and I think it was it Smoke or Stack that told him, hey, after this, you use your music for the church.
It was Smoke.
It was Smoke? Okay. Because I was trying to think, like, which one was it?
It was Smoke. The irrational rational.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to blame it on PTSD, okay?
Yeah. But his daddy told him, like, don't go. And I brought it down to choices. Choices were made throughout this movie, and God gives us free will to make choices.
You know what I got out of it? Whatever your talents may be, God has gifted you with those talents, and those talents are not inherently wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever you do, don't lose your covering. Because when you lose your covering, because if you got something good, and anytime there's something good, there's presence of evil that's going to try to snatch whatever good you have.
Yeah, we're going to get there because we're going to break it down by
break it down. Take us through it.
Okay.
Take us through it.
So we got the opening scene. So when I saw Clarksdale, Mississippi on the screen, I immediately Googled, like, okay, how far is this city from where my parents grew up? 2.5 hours from where my mom was born and 3.5 hours from where my dad was born.
So around the corner.
Literally around the corner. And it always, when things happen in Mississippi, I always remember, like, all the summers I went down there and just visiting there, and how still today in 2025, this is still one of the most racist states in the union. So a lot of the stuff that happened in this movie, it tracks. It really does track. So I was just like, seeing this on the screen with him going and picking cotton, going home, stopping by his daddy's church and say, hey, I'm finna go with my cousins. And then you get your day started after you done got beefed out with your daddy because he told you don't go. Now you with your cousins. They pick you up. Y'all having a reconnect. Y'all gotta split up because they trying to open a juke joint after they done met with the most racist man, because the whole bringing it together at the end, they were set up from the beginning.
Evil was going to be there at night and in the morning.
Yep.
There wasn't any way of getting out of it.
No, because they were set up from the beginning. Because just they asked that man when they bought that property, had this place been washed down? Has the blood been washed off the floor? What happened in here? And he was trying to be slick with him. They was like, no, our money good.
Can you peep the part when he asked him about the clan and he said, like, ain't no clan around, but he said it like he asked, does wolves exist?
Right.
Is Pikachu alive? Like, is that a real? He said it like it responded like it was a fable.
Right. Like it never happened. That's a wise tale.
Sir, this is 1930. What? Come out a wise tale. His whole reaction gave me ick from the beginning.
It gave me setup. I thought he was gonna appear sooner, but it all rolled up at the end. But as we go, but yeah, for me, we both said we love Smoke. Okay, but Smoke, for me, he was like I said, the rational, irrational brother. Like, he had the most sense out of the two. And Stack was I'm an act up at any given moment. And you gotta love an act up at any given moment, but that's what they were. They were literally the yin and yang to each other.
So It's a total spoiler alert coming, okay? So if you want to know Sweet that still ain't seen it at this point, baby, catch it on DVD,
Right.
okay? At this point.
Because it's been a month.
We gave y'all plenty of time.
Right.
So picture this. We have a set of twins, right? Set of orphan twins that we find out later in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
They do what they did in Mississippi. They had to get up out of there. They go to Chicago. They in gang activity in Chicago. They in them streets. Mafia business. This is during Prohibition as well.
Yes.
They also are veterans.
Yes.
They served in World War.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming at that time too.
It had to be 2.
Yeah. One.
Okay.
And then they're veterans, but then they still in them streets because what veterans do after the war, you know, at that time, you wasn't nothing waiting on no black man after they get out the war.
Absolutely not.
So they go work in the North in Chicago, get their money up.
No, get they stealing up.
Hey, however they got their money, it was owed to them anyway. Reparations.
Yeah.
They got their money
They got it how they could.
under salacious activity. We just gonna say that.
For real, because the mafia wasn't but a hair behind them.
Okay.
But they had to go in the deep, deep south.
Yeah.
To get away.
From that.
Mm-hmm.
So they come back home with all this money and they have the idea of setting up a juke joint because in their mind, hey, we made this money. We're going to bring it back home to our people and we're going to bless the people that's here.
And we're going to party.
Give them a place to have a good time.
Right.
They come back down. They buy this land from what we find out is actually Klan members.
Yes.
They paid them cash. No paperwork whatsoever. Wasn't no deed stamp, nothing. No signature.
Just money.
Just money. He lets this white man know, hey, y'all come back and try to kill us, but we really gonna kill y'all.
Yep.
Period.
He put it on the floor from the beginning.
That man was giggling and laughing. Ain't no plans down here, sir. This is Mississippi in the 30s. Stop playing.
Right.
Anywho, they get the property. They start setting up the shop. They go find talent, local talent, people who can perform at the juke joint. One of their own cousins, who's also a preacher boy, Sammy.
Yep.
He pulled him out the church where he was supposed to be getting ready for a service
with his daddy.
But he ended up
tell him don't go.
Going in the streets with his cousins to get this juke joint together. They also come across ex-girlfriends. Delta Slim.
Played by Delroy Lindo.
I said that man from the Delta. The way when he was on that stoop with that harmonica and he did that little jig with his knees.
Yes.
I said that man is from Mississippi. You cannot tell me he's from across the pond.
I love he
never missed.
He holds something dear to my heart. I don't know what it is. Every time I see him in a movie, I just like
he looks like one of our relatives. He could be my uncle.
I get Uncle Father vibes. Like I just want to sit and talk with him. Like so. Can we just have a long talk about your upbringing?
Anytime I see his interviews, he's one of those people that I actually search his interviews.
Yes.
His interviews are always so insightful.
Yes.
He's always so pleasant. He's serious about his craft.
And he's a gentleman.
And this is another thing. He's played a black American for decades at this point.
Yes.
Never once have I heard him say anything negative about us native to
the Americas. He's never said it. Now, he didn't check some people about...
He didn't check some folks.
Because that interview where he said, you want to say it.
Yeah.
So say it. If y'all haven't seen that interview where he checked that reporter who wanted to say the N-word, he was like, no, you want to say it. Go ahead and say
it.
You
the floor.
You say it. He was like, I'll help you.
But we love Delroy, and we've been watching. I grew up watching his films, and we just want to give you your flowers real quick.
Yeah.
So Delta Slim, who has an alcohol problem,
baby, he is the one of the most functioning alcoholics I've ever witnessed.
But we find out later on why he's so dependent on it as well.
Yes.
But anyway, they find the talent. They come across, what would she be considered, octoroon or?
I mean, her father was black, her mother was white. So I mean,
her father was half black.
I mean, you could say octoroon.
Okay.
But Mary, you could tell she was passing.
Yeah, she was white. We'll just say that. We ain't gonna get into the technicalities of it. But if you want to know what octoroon and all that stuff is, you can use the Googler.
Yeah.
But she's white passing.
Right.
And this is the ex-girlfriend of Stack. And Stack, it seems as though he set her up really good and basically told her, hey, continue to be white passing because we can't live a life together.
And I'm not about to force it.
And I'm not about to force it.
But on her end,
she said, baby, I want you.
She said more than baby, I want you.
I'm calling you daddy.
She checked him.
Daddy.
She checked him so hard.
Daddy.
She checked him so hard.
Daddy. Come and make it rain.
She could not fathom what he was saying to her.
She wanted that man.
And got him in the
She
end.
wanted that man.
But she was like, I thought since this, that, and the third happened, you had changed your mind. I'm not going to say the exact words because they're very crass.
Yeah.
But she basically said, we slept together and I thought you had changed your mind and
you dipped off, ducked off.
And you left me. You left me in the dust and I ain't heard nothing from you.
Yeah, and she been passing as white ever since.
Yep.
So they get all the time together. They come across their ex-girlfriends, and then it was Smoke came across his ex-girlfriend.
The only thing I wonder, was she an ex-girlfriend or were they separated?
7 years away. Okay. I'm an ex-baby.
Okay, now how about this? How many people do you know that are married and then been living separate? I just wanted to know, yes, you can be an ex.
Yeah.
But were they married? That was the question for me. Were they ever really, were they married? What you're saying. You know,
because it wasn't really like going to downtown to get a divorce. It was like,
and for them, it seemed like life separated them. It wasn't so much like,
I
called it quit. It just like he had to go serve in the war.
Mm-hmm.
When he probably came back because she did get pregnant, lost the baby, and then he went away to prove himself and then come back because you got to remember. He had that necklace on. Mm-hmm. So he had to get that from her before he left for Chicago. That's why I was wondering, like, did life just separate them? Because they could have been married.
They definitely give me